Hi, good morning, friends. I am back with one new video for you, and that is taking us back to 10 years in 2009 when we had organized our first international conference on translation in India and its challenges. So, at that phase of time, we had invited one of the prominent computer scientists. His name is Dr. V.N. Shukla. At that time, he was director to CDAC Noida, and he has explained how India has been improving in machine translation technology and how CDAC has worked a lot towards developing machine as well as memory translation tools. Whatever he has explained 10 years back holds true today, because 10 years back we were talking about machine translation tools. At that phase of time we had initiated memory translation tools as well, and now in 2019 we have hybrid technology as well as artificial intelligence in place. So let's watch this video and understand how India has been developing its machine tools and how it can help our translators grow and do better in his profession. So keeping that into account, please do like the video, and if you like it, do share and do subscribe to our channel. Thanks for being with us.
Namaskar, ladies and gentlemen. I am from the Center for Development of Advanced Computing. It's an autonomous R&D institution under Department of Information Technology, Government of India. And we have been given a mission to work in Indian languages. We work on a variety of aspects of Indian languages, right from providing you with some tools to systems. And since last 12 years, we are closely working with IIT Kanpur to develop machine translation systems. Long back in 1992-93, Government of India took a mission to develop two different machine translation systems. One was for English to one of the Indian languages, and second was amongst Indian languages itself. We started working on both. Primarily, I started working in English to Indian languages. Dr. R.M.K. Sinha, who would have been present here, for his health he is not here today. He was the inventor of one architecture called Anglo Bharati. That architecture provides a software architecture for accepting English as a source language, converted to one of the intermediate language, we call it as a pseudo-interlingua, and from there to generate Indian languages. The instance of that architecture for English to Hindi was done. It was given out for testing for usage. And now we have converted the same architecture for another 5 Indian languages like Bangla, Punjabi, Urdu, Malayalam, etc. And that progress is happening to include other Indian languages as well. While we are working on to improvements of that architectural plan, we also thought of adding 2 more features, 2 more different directions to our research. And one was for testing machine translation system itself, and second was using some of the unique features of pair of languages to improve the translator's capability as such. I have to explain this of my statement very clearly. Last 50 years, machine translation is happening. The research is continuing world over. things are progressing. But it has been observed and accepted that there cannot be a replacement by a system to a human being as a translator for two specific reasons. One, language is a dynamic entity, and second, language is more onto a culture. One simple example earlier speaker already gave you, I would like to tell it again. हिंदी में झूठा एक शब्द होता है, मैं किसी का झूठा नहीं खाता. In English you won't have anything. They don't have a concept of jhutha at all. Likewise, usage of words like since, have, these are so flexible in English that we don't find their equivalent implementation in Indian context, Indian language. Because of this cultural impact on a language, it is not expected that one can have a 100% correct machine translation system. Then what to do? If we can't achieve 100%, what to do? Scientists talk of lower system called machine aided translation, MAT. Instead of MT, it became MAT. It was intended to help either user or translator to get a draft translation which the user can correct later. And there, we talked of pre-processing or post-processing. For example, if 100% task is for translating source to object, first 10% or 20% pre-editing, pre-processing is being done with respect to source language. Then it is given to machine and machine produces the translation output. Or the source language is directly content given directly to a machine translation, and later, after achieving 70-80% translation, 20 to 30% task is done as a post-processing. So three different systems emerged. MAT with preprocessor, MAT with post-processor, MAT with pre and post-processor both. But then users for such system were very unique. If you expect user to know both the languages, then where is the need of translation? That question arises. People thought, let us go one more step down. If MAT is also not satisfying user, let us take one step below. And they started creating translation support systems. If direct end user, who is a monolingual person, cannot be user of MAT, then at least translator who is translating manually should get a workbench in front of him on a computer with the help of which he or she should be able to translate with a faster speed. Giving you two options. One, speed will increase, definitely. And second, even human translators do find a difficulty and problem. It depends upon their mindset at that time to construct the real translated thing. It happens with everybody, even to me. If you ask me, what is the meaning of this particular word XYZ? At a given moment, I may not collect all the meanings of that particular word. I may know, but I may not recollect. Computer is good at it. So computer can give you option. Look, Mr. Translator, these are the options available. Which one you would like to use? But then another problem appears. The problem is dictionaries are plenty. If you put all those dictionaries in computer, then perhaps for one word, so many different translated words will be available. And in a sentence of even 10 words, there will be hundreds of translation available. We call it technically as explosion. From one English sentence, you are getting hundreds of translated outputs, and translator is to select one of them. That becomes another headache. People say, yaar ye select karne ki bajay main khud translate kar. That happens. So, we wanted to create, people thought and we started working on that, intelligent translation support system based on context, based on semantics, based on syntax of the structure. The software tool should capture the nearest possible translation and give it to the end user or translator himself so that he or she can correct in a short span of a time the correct translated output. But then another problem appears. How to test it? How to test such type of a system? This mouse may be good for me, may not be good for you. There cannot be a universal design like a telephone cradle. Plenty of faces world over, distance between mouth and ear varies from person to person. Even then, that design is such that it fits in properly to everybody. That kind of system architecture cannot be made permanent. So what to do? Either you dominize that translation support system to a particular domain like health, agriculture, finance, so on and so forth, or you derive in a vertical segmentation like translation support system for school going persons, translation support system for graduate people, translation system for somebody higher, like that. Both these approaches are existing and you find multiple outputs coming out of it. Question still remains, how to test? And there we started working on to testing. Another question is, how do we define what is being tested? It's fine. For example, I have some examples I am putting in my presentation now. It rained cats and dogs. Hindi mein translate kariye. It cannot be. There is a phrase, computer system will translate and give it to you. Kutte billi barish hui. Another simple sentence. He saw a girl in a market. I usually give this example many times because it's very interesting. Now saw means उसने एक लड़की को देखा या उसने एक लड़की को काटा. Saw had both meanings. Machine will capture and give it to you. Context is also matching. No problem. But that kind of flow verbial attachment, computer software will not be able to catch. Now we know computer software cannot catch it, so then what are we testing? Do we mean to say that school going kid is put to a graduation or post-graduation level examination and being tested? Will that method be correct for this kind of a software testing? It happens. Dr. Goswami is attached with us since long and we always have a fight. I do have a fight with BJJ also. Always. They say, ye aana chahiye, ye nahi aa raha, Shukla ji, improve karo. Kya improve? When such type of questions are coming, how do we really convert a language grammar into a formal grammar? Computer understands formal grammar. The natural language grammar is not a formal grammar 100%. We talk of Panini, we talk of multiple things. But those grammars are even fluid, flexible ones. One cannot derive a perfect rule, put it in a system so that system follows it. Slave, computed in the slave, it follows faithfully the rule imposed. We are not faithful, we follow a rule depending upon its context. Police wala khada hai to red light par rukenge, we follow that. In translation also it happens. Sometimes I get translation by a manual one, which are not related with each other at all, but they are related. So, there is a hair-correct line between translation and transcreation. Many times people transcreate rather than translate because it works, people accept it. Now, engineers like us, we cannot design that kind of a system. So, plenty of examples they go. Plenty of examples go like that, and we come to a conclusion that okay, we'll give a workbench to a translator, one, and secondly, machine translation in competition with the human translator, not to identify fault of the human translator, but to gather some rules, some capturing heuristics out of that human brain so that system could be improved further. With that object, we go ahead and we create certain systems. One more thing to add before I go to a slide. In machine translation, of course, 50 years research has gone in, but recently, 15-20 years before, it has been concluded that there can be 3 different types of machine translation systems. One, we call it as statistical machine translation or SMT. Another one is rule-based machine translation or RBMT. And third one is example-based machine translation. BJG in railways, he was sitting on a very big corpora, parallel corpora, English annual reports as well as Hindi annual reports. Supposing I capture that, I store it, correlate with it, and any new statement coming in English, I just compare with English data, find out what was translated in Hindi, just make some minor changes here and there and present that as translation. That is example-based machine translation. So for example-based machine translation, the basic requirement is that kind of a parallel corpora, which is usually not available because language is dynamic. 10 years before, BJJ might have translated something in a different way. Today, when I ask him to translate the same thing, he will not do so, he will change it. That is a dynamism. Because of that, example is not as good. For languages which are phonetic in nature, like Indian languages, they follow a good rule structure. So RBMT, rule-based machine translation system, is good mechanism, good solution. But 3.5 years before in the international conference, I presented a paper, and it was accepted widely that for Indian languages, translation from English to Indian languages cannot be 100% done by RBMT. It has to be combination of RBMT and SMT. And for SMT, a specific language corpora, language tools are required to be added. Today, you have one SMT available to you for English to Hindi and other Indian languages from Google. Just go to google.co.in, select the translation service there, give a sentence, you will get the output. That output is coming out of SMT, statistical machine translation, depending upon what kind of words are being used by many. Based on that, it will translate and give. I have some examples in my slides I will show you. This example is RBMT with example base as well as SMT embedded in it at some particular level. And this total system is combination of 3 major elements. One is the rule base, which operates with lexical resource and select appropriate rule for application. One is morphological analyzer, which accepts English sentence and extracts grammatical information out of that sentence and provide it to rule base so that appropriate rule can be fired from lexical resource. Output is generated in pseudo interlingua, and then generator will convert that pseudo interlingua into some Hindi or whatsoever language we are targeting at. So 3 modules are combined, and this architectural design, it goes to the IPR, goes to Dr. Karan Kisena for this architecture, and we have implemented it together. This is how the system screen looks like. On left hand side, there is a window. You type your sentence, and you will get the output in the other side. And as rightly pointed out by previous speaker here, you is related with tu, tum, aap together. So here you have option, word level option as well as sentence level option. The black sentences coming on right hand side window, they are singular output from the system, but blue lines indicate that there are multiple options available. So you need to go to that line and just click, the window will open and you will find that there are three options coming in, they are presented. You can select a sentence, which one is nearest one, then go to word level, and if one word has multiple choices, it will come as slash, you need to select one, and this is what is the post-editing required to be done. And once you do, your translation will be available. System has been designed keeping in mind some limitations, and those limitations are presented here. Computer engineers know that system design will come up at a deployment level only when they start with the basic point, what to do and what not to do. They define both and then they design the system. If they simply design a system with what to do and give it to you, it will appear as some system which may stuck up sometime. Windows operating system. What happens? Many a times you will find DLL not found. Many a times you will find that system hangs for no reason. Those kind of unexpected behavior system may show if design level person doesn't have a mind to concentrate on what not to do as well. What to do and what not to do, both things are clear and system is designed. So these limitations have been thought of, and we know that these limitations are going to continue. So when we expect a person to test, we expect that person to understand, ये बालक इस limitation के साथ है. Don't test with these limitations. In universities, often, particularly technical, I don't mean any other technical one, the examiners, they ask questions to show their intelligence to the student, rather than asking them questions to identify the level of the student. Now, tester, if these testers test the system with that kind of an angle, then ultimately they are biased. They wanted to give a 0 mark. So, might as well don't test it, give 0 marks, finish. That is what problem comes, and that's why to identify a proper tester itself is a big exercise. To identify a good translator is a good exercise, but this is the biggest exercise we often follow. When we go for testing, we keep 2 points in mind. One is testing and one is evaluation. Testing means whether system is giving you output which is nearly acceptable or not. That is one part, first step. The second step is evaluation. What is the quality of it? Yes, if I want to go from here to say Faridabad, I can go by Blue Line bus, I can go by any Khatpatia, or I can go by auto, I can get a car. What is the quality I am expecting besides the evaluation? And that evaluation has 2 different parts to it. I'll take 1 more minute from this slide to explain this point. Engineers thought that if there cannot be a proper person available to test the machine translation, then why not to design a system which is an automatic testing? So fully automatic testing tools have been designed by good companies like IBM and others. One of them, most popular, is Blue, and the other one is Meteor. To that Blue and Meteor, if you add some language information, it can start testing. For international languages, this tool is well valid. For Indian languages, we have not yet added that much knowledge, but we did some little work and we have created a Blue for English to Hindi and Meteor for English to Hindi, and we try to test. It's a fully automatic testing tool. But when we try, I'm going to give you a gist of output also with Blue score. When we go through a score, when we go through the output of this testing tool, we find that it is flat. कोई सा भी sentence दो, उसका एक result आना है, चाहे complicated हो, चाहे simple. Then that flat response is not usually accepted. It has to vary. Unless an actual response is vary on a graph, we can't say that testing is perfect. That becomes the problem with Blue and Meteor. The other method is a totally manual. You give to 100 different translators and testers and they produce you with the results. We opted for in between. we created a semi-automatic tool which we call it as a CDAC tool, and that semi-automatic tool is given to user. User tests it and provides you with some answers. For example, this is the first screenshot of the tool. You have to log in. Once you log in, you get some information. What are different categories available? We have created test suite also. Anuradha is sitting here. She had created that test tool. Test suite complete one with the help of Dr. Goswami. She has created 3,200 sentences which are language-wise rich in lingual contents for English Hindi pair. And those sentences were got translated by 3 different translators, and that translation as a reference translation is made available here. And without taking those translations into consideration, machine will translate the same sentence, provide you with the output, and then will ask you some questions. For example, the outputs are available, and it asks you some question. Structurally, what output you got? Is it okay? You have to rate. Whether all words are being captured for translation, you have to rate. Whether selection of those words with tense, with gender, with noun formulation is being done or not, you have to evaluate, put it there. And lastly, when you put all those things together, you get a complete mathematical score. And with that score, you can go on comparing. I'll just keep this mature and go ahead, because this is slightly technical. Go ahead, you get it. With respect to left-hand side column, noun, verb, etc., some scores have come up, and those scores are being identified and then created. And finally, we create all these mathematical figures and compare. And here is a slide which I am trying to show you for comparison of Google and ours. The blue line indicates CDEX score. CDEX score. Angla. This is for Angla Bharati system. And red one is for Google. When I compare noun, Angla appears to me as a better solution than Google. For the other one, adjectives. For adjectives, Google is better than Angla Bharati. And I am not comparing Angla Bharati and Google as such, I am comparing rule-based machine translation and SMT. SMT can capture clear information about usage of adjectives. The of, in, etc. adjectives, whatsoever we are using in sentence, the context of those adjectives, SMT can capture better and give you the proper and better results compared to this. But when it comes to adverb, situation is totally reverse. The reason is to identify correctly whether the word is used as adjective or adverb, or whether adverb is being used as adjective, or whether intention of using adjective as adverb is complex. Without rule, it cannot be judged very clearly. Many a times, I am not a language expert, but many a times I find a problem. My daughter asks me, Papa, ये word यहाँ adjective या adverb है, and I find it very difficult to answer. Highly sensitive device. Now, highly sensitive device, how do I categorize? If you are a language expert, you know, but I am a language user, I may not know. So that kind of problem, and rule-based handles it perfectly. And similar thing goes with partial structures. In Hindi, also we use partial structure. But in English, partial structures are more in usage, and they convey good things. Have you taken your lunch? Yeah, I have. Now that I have is a partial one, which can properly be translated to Hindi, but not necessarily in every instances. Not necessarily resolving the context of that particular part very clearly. So rule-based gives you a better solution to handle partial structures. Another set of observation for Angla Bharati as well as Google, SMT and rule-based machine translation is in front of you. Just you can have a look at it. I will give you this presentation here. You may refer to it. It's on my website also. And you can find that for tenses, as rightly pointed out by the speaker, the tenses is really a issue for translation by machines. But rule-based definitely gives you that solution. You can see some more slides from Blue also. Now, various tenses category what the earlier speaker was speaking of, they were considered, and the results are here. It shows, it tells me that rule-based is better. Plenty of graphs and slides are here. Now, there is some typical scenario. Typical scenario is the phrasals, what we use. For example, in first one, she is a beach. Now, wo aadu hai. That translation will definitely come. But then, we don't have a language resource which handles translation of idiom to idioms or part of idiom to parts of idiom. Once we have that resource, perhaps this kind of scenario can also be handled very effectively. So some of our observations, and here are my references, what I have written for the presentation today. Thank you very much. There is a signal that I have overtimed myself. Thank you for patience listening. Any question, if chair permits?
Thank you, sir. With your permission,